Welcome everyone to Your Little Castle Show. We get to highlight all kinds of awesome, fun, powerful, and cool people. I'd say our little planet at this point, it's country's been around for a little while. Look at the guest I got here, Brandon Gentes. Did I say it right?
Sir.
Like
You did.
benches, but Gentes, Gentges.
Yeah, Gent.
I'm sorry, J. It sounds like a J, but it's G. Thank you. Make sure I get it right. If you're Google searching it, it still might show up. But I started off this show with something unique because I can. There's a song by Hank Williams Jr. Family Tradition. You see where I'm going here? Do you know? I didn't even tell him I was going to do this. This is a family business.
It is. It is.
Talk about how important that is for family to have some kind of something to cling on to, something to go back to and say, we've been around. We've done this for a while.
Well, so my great-grandfather started Gentes Roofing and Sheet Metal, oh man, decades and decades ago. My great-grandfather, Rudolph Gentes, a great man. And then it was taken over after that by John Gentes Sr. They ran it. It was a very large company. I think over 100 employees.
Wow.
My granddad had a Cessna airplane. It was a big entity. It closed down in the early 90s, but it was a huge entity. And it's really pretty awesome. I still go around Jefferson City, Missouri, where I'm from and where I live, and people run into me and they know who I am, and they're like, wow, we remember your grandparents, remember that old company. What a great company. They did a lot of outreaches in the community and stuff, and I'm really proud to say that my last name is Gentes. My dad was also a roofer for 27 years.
Okay.
And I really thought I'd never be a roofer. I was always around it growing up, and I was like, gosh, that's hard work. My dad was coming home sore, and it was just, I don't think I'm ever going to be a roofer. But here I am. I own Gentes Roofing. We started it back up. But family is very important. I'm so proud to say that I'm a Gentes.
Well, that's where we get into the discussion about, and I don't want to sing the song. Number one, I'm such a good singer, they might get confused that this is really Hank Williams Jr. singing right now. Oh, tell me why do you have your, I don't get into that discussion about what they talk about in that song. But the family tradition, my family is a family of teachers. So we were always, I always joke with my mom, we were broke when we were kids. We weren't broke. We had money. It was like, but she also emphasized to me, Carter, it's not about how much money you make. It's how happy you are. Do you have, and I like it, Jordan Peterson. If you follow Jordan Peterson, become the world's, do you know what I'm talking about? You heard this guy?
No, I know the name.
But he's like become the world's psychologist. And
That's right.
And he kind of
I know Jordan Peterson. That's right.
Went against some of the curve, which is we kind of have a trend in our little planet historically, especially over the last whatever. Get into the whole discussion. I'm not trying to get into political stuff, but life is not fair, and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, he's on the Daily Wire. Yeah, I know exactly who Jordan Peterson is.
And the bottom line is, he says, stop complaining, take responsibility.
That's right.
Get up there and do it yourself. Don't cry about it. Cry for a minute, but not long, and then bounce back.
I think that's a great impression of him. I think that's really good. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
and it's
about.
just like, man, this guy is changing the planet. He upset a lot of people who made a lot of money after creating a lot of victimhood. Victimhood is not a good place to be. You never want to be a victim, right?
I agree.
Once something actually victimized you, like broke into your car, that's not what you want to be. That guy for the rest of your life. Okay, that happened to you. You were a victim of a crime, but get off your patootie. We have to say patootie. I think we say patootie. You guys at ABC, let me know if I can't say patootie. Let me know. I'll edit that out. But it's a victimhood thing, and then it's just like, why is the family so important? Well, because that's where you come from. That's what you're about. And if you made $10 million, wait one generation. Everybody goes, oh, they made it because their family is so rich. Give them one or two generations. They'll be broke. Just wait. That's how it works.
Well, we live in America. I mean, you have the opportunity to change any outcome. I mean, any past situation. So yeah, I agree with you.
And bottom line is, so that's why I'm emphasizing the background that is brought here by Brandon and his family, because you want to work with people who've had integrity, who've been around in this country. You're talking 250 years. We're getting close to our 250th anniversary of America as an official United States. So they were people here prior to that, Columbus, and prior to that, Indians. However you want to describe our history on this part of the planet, I should say, right? In this country, but in this part of the planet. But having that integrity, background, history, you're building on that. You're continuing that. You're bringing that legacy forth for everybody here to enjoy. Why did you find that to be necessary as a matter of, you got a heritage there that you like to share with people, and helps you hold you to a standard also, I guess, right?
Sure. Well, my grandfather's getting older, so my dad didn't take on the Gentes roofing. Now he's a roofer for 27 years, and he's been a foreman, and he's worked for large companies, and he was a senior project manager. And but my granddad's getting older, and I just hearing everybody in the city talk about him and all that. I just wanted to bring it back, bring back his name. It was just really important to me and how much he means to me.
And you call him Granddad.
Yeah,
I like that because my grandfather used to say, "Don't call me grandfather." Like father, like the mentor of the family. I'm your dad. I'm just the dad above your dad, right? That kept you in line when dad wasn't around. My grandfather used to wheel me around in the wagon while my dad was working on the cabin building. I would take screwdrivers and drop them down the pipes. That was what I did to help.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
called me his opponent. But my dad was awesome. Big influence. Your family obviously means a lot to you. So talk to me a little about this. You started this back up not too long. How long ago was it?
We just started a year ago. I think we're right at 1 year.
Okay. And the history there still goes right up, so right prior, like your dad working as a roofing guy, and then the family had to come. Well, so the longevity there, the experience, the history, and the integrity, the name that Brandon wants to uphold here, right? Obviously, that had been established and proven. You talked about it. We did our pregame prep we do Zoom calls a lot of time before this. You got people that are like, "Oh my gosh, the Gentes name! I know who that is." Yeah. Right? Is that true? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, it's neat. So once we opened this up and we really got out there, we shot a commercial. I'm not going to tell you who. I think it might be one of ABC's competitors. So
that's all right.
We'll just keep it off that.
We're all in the media space, as long as you're using some.
But we shot a commercial, and it's so funny. So my grandma and grandpa, they'll go out and they'll get their breakfast in the morning, and they go to the place called Dudley's, and it's a little spot that all the older congregation gets together, and they all talk, and and their approach was, "Hey, are you guys bringing back Gentes Roofing? What's going on? We saw the commercial, and it's just really cool that a lot of people are talking about it. Another sometimes too." When we go meet clients, I've actually met clients. We'll get a call and say, "I used to actually work for Gentes Roofing back in the day. I used to work for your grandfather. I was a warehouse manager at Gentes Roofing." And it's just really rewarding to come across that and then meet people that either know the company, went to the Christmas parties, work for the company. It's just really neat.
That's what we're talking about, because we got to take it back to the old school, from the old fool who's so cool, right? I like to reflect. What song was that back in the day? But it takes two. I was a kid back in the 90s. You were maybe a toddler. I don't know how old you were.
I was born in 89.
Born a year before I graduated high school. All right. But with that background you've got now, all right, talk a little bit about your history personally in this space and and where you're at now. What kind of history do you personally bring to the table?
So when I graduated high school, I decided not to jump right into college. I decided to just jump into the construction industry. Matter of fact, even before I graduated high school, I was swinging a hammer during the summertime, working for my uncle's construction company. So I have a big construction background as far as building and stuff like that. I actually worked when I graduated high school, I went to Williston, North Dakota, and I worked in the oil fields. And I built man camps up there, and I helped build man camps for the big influx of workers. So I've always been in the construction industry, and I've really done that a lot. And then also I used to travel the country for a large construction company. I was a senior project manager, 25 years old. My last job I closed out with them was like $6.7 million at the age of 25. It was in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
It was in Puerto Rico. I had to do the whole job with a translator. It was tough, man. It was tough. We had like 40-something labor underneath us. So I'm a really good manager. I've learned a lot. I also ended up going to college. I went to a tech school, but I've got a really big construction background. So roofing is I'm a professional. I'm a specialist in roofing, but also a lot of other things too. And I've learned a lot through the companies I've worked for. I've really got a crazy backstory as far as I've been to almost all 50 states. I've met a lot of people, shaken a lot of hands, ran large construction projects. I've done a lot. So I have a lot of specialties, not just in roofing. But now I'm just predominantly roofing. All my energy is towards roofing. I'm bringing back the Gentes name, and that's kind of where I'm at now. So
very cool. I'd like to not necessarily talk about everything before in the pregame prep. We call that. We're all athletes at some level in our lives, whether that's athletics that we do in the acting stage, or take some athleticism, or as if you're a singer or a dancer. But I think sports has a background, and it all helps us all learn about life. But man, I didn't realize. Wow, translator For
Yeah,
a guy,
it was,
Spanish. I have friends who I played baseball with that are very good baseball players. Jose Chinea, how you doing? Gabby Corchado, how you guys doing? Now you can say I mentioned you. I ran into one of your buddies the other day last night. It was home opener for the Cardinals. So whenever you're watching this video, reference that when that's when we're recording. The day after the Cardinals home opener, 2025. And but man, they have a different. I mean, even if they speak English, I'll make my passive just friendly. When I would say, guys, we're going to put video on our website, and they would say, we got video? And I'm like, it's not video. What's video? Oh, video. Okay, I got you. So, but that's a language barrier right there, and they're speaking English. I can imagine were many of the workers you had there were also Spanish speaking.
A lot of them. Now, a lot of them still spoke English because Puerto Rico's is still America, I guess. It's a territory,
right?
It's a territory. So a lot of them spoke English, and they taught English in their schools. But like you said, the English is kind of broken, kind of hard to understand sometimes. They speak Puerto Ricans versus like down in Mexico or Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans speak extremely fast. It seems like much faster. So, and then my translator was Chilean, so it was.
But he spoke Spanish.
He did,
okay.
But there was a little language barrier even with Chileans and the Puerto Ricans. So it was interesting to say the least.
Well, that just tells me as a matter of getting things done, you've got to go through all kinds of hurdles in life and running a business in particular. If you've got to communicate, which is typically part of the job,
yeah.
no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And that makes it means that you're pulling through those things to get those things done too. That's cool. And now how long have you been on this endeavor? You said for about a year. This particular, where you've taken over again. So
so I own another small company. It's BG Renovations. I did a lot of roofing through. I did some roofing through BG Renovations as well. I used to get calls, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm not much of a roofer. I'm a roofer, but I don't do a lot of roofs. That's not what we do. Bathrooms, kitchens, home additions.
Okay.
We do stuff like that. But then we got into roofing right away, just because my granddad's getting older, stuff like that. So.
See there.
Okay.
All right, but yeah, I mean, literally a year you've been doing this now, starting it all back up again. A tremendous background you've got, and a lot of construction. You said baths, kitchens.
A lot of that is on my own personal accord, but before that, when I was traveling, it was all commercial work.
Commercial, yeah.
So we did a lot of commercial
big stuff too.
Big stuff.
So you know where all the money's spent, how to be efficient, to make sure you get it done right, and I think that can help a lot of consumers because I know that commercial background. Boy, those guys, big projects, better be here on time. This has got to get done. Those guys are in, those guys are out if they're going to be our supplier. But for you, the benefit is you help the small guys or the individual residential homeowners understand, hey, I can do things at a high level. And that's what I've learned with my marketing. It's like I've done it for huge companies. I ran the whole thing. And I said, let's just bring this down for the smaller business owners, smaller clients. Likewise, you can say, hey, let me show you how this professional high-level stuff is done. We've done that. And so you can take some of what you've learned in the commercial world and apply that to the residential. Why wouldn't they want the top quality stuff, the little tricks of the trade that you were fortunate to have learned, I guess, some of those too.
And I tell you what, commercial work and residential work is a completely different animal. It really is. So when I came back, I decided to stop traveling. You know, I'm a husband. I have children.
4 kids.
Yeah, I have 4 kids.
Henry's over here.
I have 4 kids. Henry's over here. He's passed out with mom over there.
Right.
Yeah, I have 4 kids. So I just, traveling is, it just doesn't work for a family, man. It just gets a little tough. So I really wanted to refocus my energy towards my family. So I decided to I took a pay cut at first, getting off the road and coming home and really just taking a leap of faith and prayed to God that, hey, help me out with this. And we started that company up, and it was tough at the beginning. Like I said, commercial and residential, completely different animals, but we worked through it, and here I am today, and we've been very successful.
Good community stuff you're talking about. That's what we put the cowboy hat on. Because you say, I'm going to be a cowboy. But you're being cavalier with regard to the cowboys are the ones that get stuff done. That's why I like this symbol that I've kind of adopted as my own. But being cavalier from the perspective of getting out there, cavaliers like crazy people, but cowboy got it done and make sure that the work, and you took that leap and said, hey, I got to take care of my family. That means I got to do less of the travel thing.
Got to be at home.
And be home more to take care of those babies. 4 of them. Henry again over. I like the name Henry. That's my grandfather's name.
Yep, Henry David Gentes.
Gentes. All right. Keeping it in the family there. That's cool. All right. Well, what is it about this that fuels your passion? I mean, obviously you have a passion for this, or else you wouldn't keep doing it and say, I'm going to switch careers and try to keep my passion going. Not careers, style, whatever. What do you call that? But switching industries, I mean, you're still, but pretty more local.
I knew that whatever I wanted to do in life, I wanted to do something that I can stand back and look at and be like real proud of it. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that any kind of construction, anything you do, you could take so the company I travel for was we chase storms basically, but I'm talking like big storms, hurricanes for large commercials. So you see this wreckage and then
right.
you get to build it back up and put it back together, step back, and be like, man, that was me. I mean, we did a great job. I love that aspect of what I do. It's just you could take something that's messed up and just bring it back to life, and then not only stand back and look at it, be happy about it, but see the client and see the client's joy in it too.
Yeah,
so that's
these
extremely.
are people. In that case, they're going from they have no house, it got wiped out, right? And I know some guys who go down to Florida for hurricane season, and it's just because they got to have some people down there to rebuild, and tornadoes in the Midwest a little bit, but literally, like, there's the foundation left if they're lucky.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
And then you got to build everything up.
And that's why I was in Puerto Rico. That major hurricane that hit Puerto Rico. That's why I was there.
Okay.
So.
All right, extensive background here. That makes a lot of sense. So we can. Wow. Okay. Call my buddy Brandon here if you need a roof and maybe even some of that other stuff you do with kitchens and baths a little bit. But the roofing company, I get it, man, because roofs tend to get the more wear and tear. A kitchen can last 30, 40, 50 years. You might want to update your plumbing just because it doesn't look so modern. But if that roof's not working, you got problems.
It's the first line of defense, right? First shield of your home. That's why we put a shield in the Gentes roofing. I think that's why Grant had a shield. It's the first line of defense.
Makes sense. I got you. Okay, cool. All right. Well, Mike, I'm gonna jump over here. You've already got a lot of reviews out there for being 1 year under your belt. We'd like to share a little bit about what it is that people do to enlighten their community and some of the results they've gotten from that. So look at this already on the TV wall behind us here. I want to make sure my buttons are working correctly. I think I've got that right. Yeah. 5.0. You got 13 people took the time. Now imagine if you'd gone around asked everybody to do this, but most owners don't ask for reviews. But you've had 13 people decide to give you reviews anyway, and they're all 5.0. Any one of these that stand out to you, you're like, wow, I remember Andrew. You probably know all these. Sean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of them.
Brandon?
Stephanie Horn, that was a fun job. Matt Klinger. I really enjoy Matt Klinger. He's probably gonna watch us, but he's a goofy bearded guy like me. He's a great guy. We did work for him in the past, and really with BG, but then also did his roof.
Okay.
He was a great job.
Where's L areas up there?
Yeah, the
5 stars. Gentes Roofing did a wonderful job with our new roof. The crew was professional, courteous, and cleaned up after themselves like it was their own mother's house. Our screen divided up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, obviously, these are people that do appreciate what you do, and they wanted to say something about it. You've also been on the BBB. I know when you get started, they start you off at an A or A minus or whatever, and then as you work your way up, they give you. But you have done nothing over the last year, and with the Gentes name's been around for a long time too. Maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. But there you go, got that A minus rating, so that's good to be on the BBB. Because if you've done anything wrong, that goes down quick. It goes pretty quick.
That's right.
You go from an A to a C or an F if you've had a few complaints. So that's good to see that you're doing good work there. Well, I appreciate that. That shows that you are on the ball and taking the time to manage a business from a professional perspective, which is what we want people to see. Let me ask you this. Are you expanding? Obviously, a lot of people are trying to grow the business. Obviously, you're doing so. You've got a crew. You got some people working for you.
I think
you have a guy he's kind of your gopher. He gets everything done. He gophers it and goes and gets it done, but he does a lot of stuff to help you get.
We hired a young guy to So we want to expand, and I think that's our end goal. But I also believe that we don't want to expand so fast that we don't put out a good product and that we don't continue the customer service that we provide. So I think sometimes people expand so fast and get so crazy they almost do it too quickly where they can't continue to put out a great product. So yes, of course we want to expand, but I think we want to do it at a pace where we can still give the customer service and make sure that we're not getting calls back on roofs. And we haven't, knock on wood or glass or whatever, that we haven't got a call back. I don't think we will. Of course, there's people make mistakes, and again, if we do make mistakes, we're there right away to fix it. But we haven't yet. So. But yeah, we want to expand. We just want to do it at a pace where we can continue to put out a good product.
Right. Well, I tell you, that's pretty cool to see that you. I mean, the growth is important, but if you're looking for a place to work, you're looking for a couple hardworking people that might say, "Hey, seen these guys on a TV show. I've seen the good-looking website and a history there, and you can see the attitude and perspective that Brandon brings to the table as an owner / operator / boss / taking out the trash sometimes too, I guess, right? When you're older, you get to do everything, right?
That's right. That's right.
Cool. All right. Well, we're almost through our first half hour here. We got about another 8 minutes left as we continue. So we kind of move quickly through some of those questions because we were getting a little behind there. I wanted the history. He's got such a great history with this company that I wanted to talk about that, coming from the grandfather and all that stuff. But so that our viewers can better understand the value that you offer, can you give us like a kind of a breakdown for when somebody says, why should I spend X amount for a roof? and you say, here's what you need to spend, and here's why. What typically goes into that? And so, because I know there's always the famous or infamous do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
brother-in-law can put on a roof. Why should they not do that? Longevity for the roof and
I think
else.
that there's some things, and I think there's some things you could do yourself and around your house. But roof, like I said earlier, it's the first line of defense to your home. You know, I'm also certified in water mitigation and fire mitigation, and I've got all my certs for that. And I can tell you right now, if water gets into your home, that's a whole nother ball game, a whole nother issue. So again, your roof is the first line of defense to your home. You want a professional contractor to do it. It's just so important.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, no, I get it. I mean, you better keep that thing high quality because, like you said, because there's a lot of, I'm looking at the picture up on, I'm going to show up everybody on your website a little bit here. You take a look here. This is your website, and good looking stuff you got there. I'm going to ask if you want to, I'm going to give you a copy of this video, if you don't mind, to put on your website, and it'll air here shortly on ABC here, I think next week, here in St. Louis. But put this on the front of your website. But I'm looking at this nice picture of this house. There's a little cap. They call that a ridge vent or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I've got that on the screen up there, you can see I'm scrolling around. But the top, right on the residential and commercial roofing, right above that, is the top of that roof. There's a little ridge thing up there. What is that thing? Why do these types of components, why are these so important? Because what is a roof? It's not just a thing that covers your house. It's a system. Is that not right?
Absolutely. So venting is extremely important. And there's not just ridge vents. There's box vents, ridge vents, gable vents, soffit vents. There's all different types of venting. If your roof isn't vented correctly, it gets too hot. Especially in the summertime here in Missouri, it gets 100 degrees or cold, but really it gets real hot and it'll blister. You'll absolutely destroy. You'll kill your longevity of your roof. You have to have the proper venting on your roofs. It has to happen. And then of course in the wintertime, as well, you want to have proper venting on that as well.
And tell me, is that a little bit because of matter of heat and cold, expansion and contraction?
Mm-hmm.
When you start to move pieces that are supposed to be stable and not moving, they start to leak and separate and
they stretch
come back.
Yep.
And then you got to have the right. What's the coating you put underneath the roof?
So we use a full synthetic felt, and then we use ice and water shield on every job. All valleys. Ice and water shield is an asphalt type rollout peel and stick, and then we put it on our valleys, also on all eaves, around chimneys, stuff like that. It prevents any kind of intrusion from ice damming during the winter, stuff like that. Synthetic felt. They used to use a lot of tar paper back in the day, but we don't use that hardly anymore. It's all synthetic.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, and tell me that also. Do you have a preferred vendor? Or do you have anybody who makes your roofing?
Well, I mean, we like Owens Corning. We put a lot of Owens Corning on. Certainty, a little bit of Tamco, GAF.
Okay.
We use all that. We have a really good supplier. We deal with ABC, with Beacon a lot. Those guys are great. But we're a big fan of Owens Corning.
Why do you prefer Owens Corning? I mean, there's some warranties to go along with this. Is there anything special about each one of these that you like? Well,
the warranties are good, but Owens Corning's just been a long trusted brand for a long time. Also, my installers, all my guys who put it on, they love installing. It's a great. It has a sure nail strip in it, which is great. It's just really just a good shingle, and we predominantly do a lot of shingle work, so we use a lot of Owens Corning.
And so when you say shingle work versus tiles or whatever, I mean, there's a lot of
different. So we'll do a little bit of
metal roofs.
So we'll do metal roofs, standing seam, G-rib sometimes. We don't really like putting G-rib on homes because of the exposed fasteners.
Okay, what's a G-rib?
So G-rib is your typical barn metal. It's got like your bumps in it, and then it's got screws out in the field. And,
okay, I got you.
Yeah, so just your typical.
Yeah, I don't see many residential houses.
Not really. Sometimes you'll see it, but no, like barns and stuff more than anything.
Gotcha.
Shops maybe. And then of course you got your single ply systems, TPO, EPDM, mod bit. Stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff, we do commercial, and I dealt with a lot of that with traveling with the other company. We dealt with a lot of flat roof systems. Right now we're small. We're kind of keeping it small. We're dealing with a lot of residential. We had the capabilities of doing all those flat single ply systems, but right now we're sticking to a lot of residential.
Okay. Now we've covered a lot there. That's valuable stuff that I didn't realize because I've had a couple of roofing guys on here before. They always talk about something different. There's the general stuff, but get into the specific manufacturers and like the fact that they have a nail strip. I didn't realize how important that might be. But yeah, you don't want nails being missed or hammered in sideways. Yeah. Because that causes a problem with the protection they're providing for the roof.
Yep, that's right.
If you're what do you call shingles don't get and those
it avoids warranties and everything else too if you're not nailing it off right. Your pressure's not set right on your compressors. You can over nail stuff, you can under nail stuff. It's so important. That's another thing that Gentes Roofing does, that we always have either myself as the owner, if my manager can't be there, I'm there to watch it, inspect it, see it. That's something else too, that we're small enough and we don't take on. We have a lot of calls and stuff, but we don't take on more than we can handle because we want to make sure that somebody's always there. Not necessarily micromanaging. I don't want to say that, but definitely being there to make sure that it's done.
Well,
right.
attention to detail to make
Yeah,
sure
it's
that
extremely important.
the quality is there, because that's ultimately, nobody wants to say, hey, by the way, can you do my roof again in 5 years? Like, let's do this every 5 years. Nobody wants that, right?
Right.
This thing better be done right. That's why you don't hire your brother-in-law, and you get we had our guests on from Coach House Garages, and so they said, you don't want to have a garage in this case, that they come and work on your garage and they make a nice looking structure, and then they do have a warranty for the guys who come do the random work that you may not want. It's called a taillight warranty, and the warranty is as good
as you see the tail
as
lights.
long as you can see the taillights, right? Once the taillights are out of sight, you're on your own. You got lots of backing from big companies that help you, because Owens Corning obviously been around for hundreds of years, I think, probably.
They've been around for a long time.
And they're great quality products. So yeah, and I hear the same names. And it sounds like you don't just specialize in one. You'll use whatever.
Sure.
Somebody has a preference.
Absolutely.
GAF is a really big name, and Tamco, and they all talk about how I've met some of the reps from those companies, because I get invited to the roofing trade shows by chance, actually.
Yeah, we were just down in San Antonio for that roofing convention down in San Antonio just a month ago about. That was really neat too. Just learn.
Well, I mean, how much is there about the technology? We're going to finish up here pretty quick. We got 2 minutes left for this half hour. I think we're going to have you come around for another half hour. Stick around for that one, everybody. There'll be a lot of great information, because I got a lot more questions here. I got questions. If somebody's going to fix my roof, I want to make sure they know what they're doing, and I don't want to hear about it in the 3-minute pitch. I want to know for as many questions as I have, and I might watch this video at 10 o'clock at night when it's easy for me. But let's get all of our questions answered here. But I'm going to start off and finish up here with one big mistake. I'm skipping. I've got them online here, everybody. But we'll come back. Let's go. All right. What's the one thing you think sets you apart? And if we don't get through that, guys, stay tuned for the next question, which is, what's the big mistake people make? I've heard a few different big mistakes people make when they're getting a roof done. I want to hear what your favorite thing. You hear people go, oh boy, if they don't do this, then they're in for some pain and agony potentially later, because it didn't get done right, the warranty's not valid, all kinds of things. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before that, as we finish up here, we got about 45 seconds for this half hour. What is it you really feel that sets you guys apart from the other roofing companies that are out there?
I think the quality control that like I said earlier, we always have either myself or somebody that's just there. Also, another thing that sets us apart is that I'm always making sure that I'm interacting with every client that we have. I want to be able to shake every person's hand. I don't live in a really big town. It's not as big as St. Louis, right?
Right,
so,
sure.
So I want to be able to build relationships, long-term relationships. So something that we set apart is just our customer service, how we're there, how we make sure that quality control is done, how their yard is protected, how their house is protected. God, that is a big one. Just making sure that the house is in good a shape, or not better outside the roof.
Check out the second half hour, guys.